Hey guys, so I have a couple of requests on how I made this blue flame Danny Ketch Ghost Rider chain thing. There's a little hook on the end. Well, I decided that I was going to do a tutorial. Please pardon the lighting. I don't know if you guys can see this very well. It's really hard for me to see on the camera, so I'm doing this all on the floor. I'm going to show you how to make this, and here's the Danny Ketch Ghost Rider. This can be for anything. This could be for the blue Ghost Rider, it could be for red Ghost Rider, it doesn't matter. It's just a matter of what colors you choose to use. So I'm going to show you the materials that I plan on using. This one that I'm going to make this time is a little bit different, just because I don't want to make the same exact one, but it all follows the same routine, so it's not, it's not far from what I originally did. So I'm going to move these guys out of the way for now. And what we're going to start with is your chain. Now, I got this chain, I showed it in the last UIM episode, I believe it was 18. I got this chain link chain from Michaels. It's pretty long. I got it for a couple bucks. Most of these things that I'm going to be using you can get at Michaels. If you could find a chain that's already the color that you want, like silver or black or whatever color you want to use, I recommend you do that just so that you don't have to paint it. But I'm going to show you everything, so we're going to paint it and all. So you need that, and you will need something pointy. For instance, I'm going to use these wooden skewers that I just had laying around. This is what I used for the spike on here, and this time I'm going to make a chain with 2 spikes at each end, so I'm going to use these, at least 2 of them. And this time I'm going to put a bendy wire in it, so you're going to need twist ties. I have a whole bag of them. They come with a lot of your action figures and stuff, so I'm going to use some of these. And your main ingredient is silicone. If you don't have access to silicone, for instance, like if you don't have it at your house or you can't get to Home Depot or something, it's clear. If you could get crystal clear, it works even better, because it helps like make it more vibrant. But you're gonna need clear silicone. If not, you can always use hot glue. I'm not gonna show you how to do the hot glue, but you can put it on there and paint it if you want, and it'll still be kind of flexible. It's not gonna be as effective as the silicone. Okay, so other than that, other than the raw materials that you're gonna use to actually build it, you're gonna need a couple of different shades of blue. Or if you want one shade, that's fine. I prefer using a darker and a lighter, because you're going to do 2 layers of the flames to make them look more realistic, I guess you can say. Like, if you look at the Ghost Rider, you can see that up at the top, his flames are darker blue, and down at near the skull they're lighter blue. So we're going to use that. I am going to be using Abe's Epoxy Sculpt. I know I'm asking a lot for materials here, but you can use, for what I'm going to be using this for, you can use like tape as a substitute. You can use any kind of clay that'll dry hard. You can even use the hot glue, but I'm just going to use this specifically for something. So you're going to need a couple of mixing sticks or something to just mix stuff up with. You need at least 2 cups empty, and you'll need 1 cup with water in it for some paint. And you're gonna need, like I said, your blues. If you're gonna paint your chain, you're gonna need some type of metallic paint. You can brush it on, but I prefer to spray it just so that it's easier for me. Black, because if you're gonna do a wash to make it look more realistic, and some paintbrushes, of course. And I'm gonna need this glass of green tea because I'm going to be talking a lot here. Oh, a little bit more materials here, but hold on one second. Okay, I'm going to say a pair of scissors just in case. You're going to need a lighter, and the reason is to melt the plastic off of the twist tie so you can get it as small as possible, and possibly wire cutters. You don't necessarily need to use wire cutters. It's not that serious, but whatever can cut through the chain is pretty much what you're going to use. So I'm going to attempt to get started here. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to take the chain here and I'm going to get the length that I want. So I'm going to lay it out, and I'm going to get it roughly the size of the chain I did before. So you can just kind of guesstimate the way that you want to make it. So it doesn't really matter how long it is. I prefer a longer chain just because it looks cooler. So we're going to take the chain, and I know these wire cutters are already horrible, so let's see if I could cut through it first try or not. Oh yeah, I got very lucky there because these things usually suck. So, got your chain, and then you're gonna take your spike thing. You can use pretty much anything. I just prefer to use these because it's gonna be easier for me, I guess. So I'm gonna cut it about there because I'm gonna use it for the spike, and I want them to be able, or the figure to still be able to grab it, like in the like room for his hand right there. So I'm gonna cut it here as soon as I can get through it. I shouldn't use these scissors. Maybe the wire cutters will work better. Okay, so I'm kind of still freestyling this. Okay, that kind of went flying, but I'll go find it in a second. But anyway, you're gonna get 2 of them if you're gonna make what I'm making, which is the double-sided or double-spiked chain. There we go. Okay, so you're gonna have this guy at both ends. Okay, so I got both my spikes here. I got my chain, and next up, what you want to do is attach them to the chain, and this is where you can use hot glue, you could use tape, or any type of material you want. But what I'm going to use is the epoxy sculpt, just because it's, you know, a lot quicker and easier for me to do this. I'm going to take the right amount. I don't want to take too much because I'm not going to overuse it. I love this stuff. This is great stuff. I use it for whatever, like all kinds of sculpting, making things, flattening things out. I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain what I'm talking about, but it's really good to use for all your like custom things, no matter what you're doing, figures or whatever. And I know a lot of people will back me up on it because it's really nice and soft and simple, and all you got to do is just take equal parts of each and mix it together thoroughly, and then you can use it for, I think there's like a work time on it. I'm not 100% sure what it is. I think it's like something like 6 hours or something like that it's good for. But in the beginning, when you're first mixing it, it's really small, or really soft. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't mean to say small. It's really soft. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take it and leave it aside for now, and I'm gonna come back to that when it dries a little bit. All right, guys. So I let this harden up a little bit. It's got a little bit of more density to it, so it'll be easier to work with and easier to keep this held together. So I'm going to break it off into 2 parts for right now. I'm gonna take my spike here. I'm gonna kind of like just put it on the end for right now. This part's pretty simple. I'm gonna take the one end of the chain and then I'm just gonna wrap this around here. Now I'm probably gonna work with this a little bit just so that I can get the right kind of shape that I want to go for. I want to still be able to get Ghost Rider's hands around this and have him hold it. So I'm kind of debating on whether or not I want to go with like a look like that. So, but I have some time still to maneuver this around. I've decided I'm probably going to cut this tip down a little bit just because it's a little too much, and I can go back and shave that so it looks more spike-ish. So we're going to put this end down for a second, and then I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. Alright, so we're done with this for now. This is what I want it to look like. You can make yours however you want. Now, when you're done, you want to hang this somewhere where the sculpting, if that's what you used, or whatever you're using, doesn't touch anything so that it doesn't stick to it. This epoxy sculpt tends to stick to things when you leave it like resting on it for a long amount of time. So just hang this up somewhere, let it cure, let it dry, whatever you want to call it, and then get your paints ready, because after it sets, give it a good amount of time too, like at least an hour or so. So get your paints ready, and that's what we'll be doing next. Alright guys, so this is now dry. But before I go painting this, first, if you're going to reinforce your chain and make it bendy, at this point you're going to want to take the bendy wire. And this part, you want to be extra careful because you can get burnt. I've done it before. It hurts really, really bad. So you want to take your lighter and melt the rubber or whatever plastic this is on here. Like really, I can't stress it enough, be careful, because the one time when I was doing this, I was actually making my my custom Johnny Ohm here, and he has the little pieces of metal in his head that I used from one of these, and when I was melting the plastic off of it, I accidentally well, I wasn't paying attention really well enough, and I dropped a drop of plastic, hot, fiery plastic, on my finger, and it caused my skin to bubble up and all that stuff. So just be really careful. I'm not gonna stress it out anymore. So here we go. I'm gonna start doing this now. And once you have it lit, it'll usually stay lit and it's going to drip. So you want to keep it over something not flammable. This plastic lid is going to work fine for this. It's not going to harm it. It's not going to stay on fire. So you can see it like pretty much just does this, and you can speed it up with this. Okay, so now you can see that it's all kind of black now. You're gonna get a little bit of black stuff on your fingers, but hopefully before you actually do this, you watch the whole video, so don't go just doing it. And I recommend that you do this outside or in a safe, well ventilated area, because it does stink a little bit. It's not too bad. But now I'm going to take my chain. I'm going to start weaving this through, and I'm not going to get in every single spot because it's going to really bunch up the chain. So I'm just going to put it in a few areas in here. So I'm going to speed this video up in a second. Alright, so that's kind of what it looks like right now. I'm not sure if I'm liking it, just because it's kind of funny looking. It's too stiff or something. I don't know. I don't know if I really like it. So what I'm gonna do is just some trial and error, I guess, here. And I'm gonna pinch that in so that it stays locked in. This one fell out, so I gotta resituate this one too. The only reason I'm putting this bendy wire in here is just specifically, alright, this is why you don't start doing things before they dry, but it's no big deal, I can fix this. Anyway, like I was saying, I'll glue that in or something. I'm gonna put the clamp thing on here, or clamp this up, I should say. And then next up, we're gonna use the silver spray paint. So this is where we paint the whole thing silver. Alright, so we're in my basement now, and I got the chain hanging from a fishing line that I've used before, hanging from my ceiling. This is where I prefer to do my spray paint, just because outside is there's like no lighting or anything at night out there. So I'm going to be using this Krylon metallic spray paint. I think it's chrome. So I'm going to spray this now. You don't have to worry about covering it all in one coat, because it's just how spray paint works. You really don't get to cover things with one coat. I don't really care how much I'm applying. I'm just kind of just going for it, because it really doesn't matter. It's just going to be a chain. Alright, so that looks pretty cool. Looks like I covered most of it. I'm going to come back to it in a few minutes when it dries and check it out again. Alright, so now you see that we got our chain. It's all dry and nice and silver and everything. Let you get a little bit of a close-up on it. Trying to use this flashlight because it'll help out a little bit. Yeah, it's really silver. So what we're going to do to make it look more realistic now is you're going to take your black paint. I'm going to be using this just because this is all I have right now. I'm going to shake it up. Always shake your paints. So we're going to take this and take your brush, and what you want to do is you want to dry brush it on, because you don't want like the thick clumpy areas of of black in like one, like one area or whatever. So just gonna take some black, put a little bit on my brush, and then wipe some of it off just because of the dry brushing. So you just, don't want a ton of it on there. And then just go to town. Alright, so you don't really want to overdo it when you're doing this, so you just want to give it a little bit of a dark look to it. You can still keep it silver, shiny, and all that jazz. And if you're dry brushing, it should dry up pretty quickly, the paint. So now we're going to be on to our next step, and we're going to make our flames. Alright, so here's the part where we're going to be making the flames. So what you're going to need is your paints, of course. I'm probably going to be using these shades because I changed my mind and I wanted to make the red flamed chain to go with this Ghost Rider specifically because my buddy has this figure and it's his birthday currently today, and I wanted to make him something to go along with his gifts that I got him. So I'm gonna try and replicate the colors in this Ghost Rider as much as I can. So I'm gonna, of course, need my paints, empty cup, a mixing stick. Probably gonna get a different one. There we go. Or this one's fine. So we're gonna use that, and then our main ingredient is the silicone. You can use hot glue if you want to. Hot glue, the only difference with the hot glue and silicone is that you put the hot glue on the chain first to give it that effect. So, but right now I'm not gonna take my silicone yet. I was about to, but what I want to do first is I want to mix up some paints to get the closest I can to the Ghost Rider color. So I'm gonna work on that right this second. Alright, so now I have my very, very light orange that I want to go with for the first half of the silicone. So now I want to take my empty cup and my silicone, and then I want to squeeze in a good amount that will cover most of the chain because I want to be able to at least get halfway up the chain. I'm probably going to do the whole chain, but if I can't, then with this one batch, then that's fine. Come on. Get off. Alright, so the most important part when you're using the silicone, it tends to take the paint very strongly in its soft form when it's actually in its like silicone rubber form, you can't paint it. It's impossible to paint. So what you want to do, if you're gonna do it this way, is take the smallest amounts of paint. You don't want a lot, because you can always add more for one, and two, you still want to give it that clear look. So I don't know if you could see, but I only have like a drop on the end of this. So I'm gonna mix this in with my silicone, and it barely changed it any color. So I'm gonna take my stick out again and see if I can get a little bit more paint. I don't want a lot because I don't want to ruin it. So I just want to give this the yellowy orange pigment. Not too light, not too dark. Okay, so that's probably where I want it right now. That might be harder to see, but that pigment just for the first layer. And be careful when using the silicone, because it does have fumes, and it smells kind of like vinegar to me. That's the kind of smell that it gives off, and I'm actually allergic to the vapors from silicone, so my eyes get all swollen. So just be careful when using it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this sit just for a little bit so it's not as gooey. I want it to be more firm so that it can stick well. Alright, so I let this sit for about 5 minutes, and before I go any further with it, I want to take my brush that I was using, and I'm gonna rinse it off so I can use it for another color. I want to take my mixed paint that I mixed up here, and kind of not dry brush it, but put it on so that the chain has a pigment when you go to put the flames on there, and you can see right through it. Alright, so that's all painted up now. I'm just gonna let this dry, put it aside. I don't know where I'm gonna put it. Alright, so I'm just gonna leave it aside for the moment. And I'm gonna check my silicone here. It's almost perfect consistency, so I'm gonna probably start applying it. If the paint is still wet on the chain, that's no big deal. It just might get a little bit on your hands, but other than that, it's not gonna hurt the silicone. So what I'm gonna do now is start applying the silicone to the chain. And you want to, when you're doing this, you want to take a lot on the tip. Not too much that you can't control it, but you want enough so that when you put it on, it'll stick, and then you can spread it out, kind of like I don't know, I guess you could say it's like butter, but more sticky, like peanut butter. There you go. And then when you're putting it on, you want to kind of like stick it and then pull away. If it takes it off, no big deal, just put it back on and just pull away, and it'll give it that that flame look. Sorry that I didn't realize that was all off camera right there, but I'll get some of it on camera now. So you put it on and you pull away. I'm gonna need more silicone. And try not to get this stuff on your skin because it's really hard to get off, and it's meant to resist a lot of things, so soap and water usually doesn't help. It's a building material, so they try to make it, you know, good stuff. By the way, I don't know if I mentioned it, but in earlier in the video, if you need to know where to get this at, you can get it at a like a Home Depot or a Lowe's or whatever home improvement store you have in your area. I'm gonna speed this part up. Alright, so at this point I ran out of the silicone that I mixed up, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish this off camera, let it dry, and then get back to you guys. For the dry time, I would give it, to completely cure, it usually takes 24 hours, but if you want to, if you're impatient like me and don't want to wait, you can usually work with this within the next couple hours, like maybe 6 to 12 hours. But I'm gonna give it enough time to dry so that you guys, or cure I should say, so you guys can see it. So I'll see you in the next part. Okay, so here we go guys, the last and final part of this tutorial. What I'm gonna do for this is I'm gonna take some of this glow or neon orange and my Citadel red, just to mix it together and try and match the flames a little bit better. I'm gonna mix this color together and try and lighten the red a little bit. I like mixing my own colors. It always gives it like a unique look. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some red out right now, and then some orange. I don't need a lot because I'm only putting it into the silicone. Okay, so there we go. And then we're gonna take a little bit of, oh, shake it up first. Here's my mistake. Okay, so a little bit of orange. Alright, so now we're ready for the silicone. So I'm going to try and keep my face away from it this time because last time I messed up my sinuses. So I'm going to put in some silicone. Alright, so just like last time, take little amounts and mix it in. Don't overdo it, because you can always add more. Alright, so I'm pretty much happy with this. Can't really see the color, but it's a reddish orange. And this time I'm going to go right onto this so that it creates longer strands of silicone for the fire look. So I'm going to have this being held up here. Alright, so I'm happy with how much I put on here. Like I said, this is more of a trial and error version. The colors kind of clash, but you know, that's how you learn. So I'm gonna let this dry, like I said with the last chain or last coat, and we'll get back to it after that. Alright, so there we have it. We're all done. Nice and clean looking, all dried up. It still has its flexibility. It's good to go. And here are some pictures.